Hi there, it's Stephanie Shea, Chief Astrologer for janspiller.com, and I'm here with our special guest, Valerie D'Ambrosio. And Valerie is a guide. She clarified that with me because it's different than coaching. Valerie's been guiding people for over 2 decades through their own rebirth process. And I'm excited to team up with her because we've had a lot of cool conversations. We've done some trade for our services and realized how astrology and what Val does really go hand in hand. And so we are launching, this is our initial series about coaching through the astrological seasons. And we're going to dive into Scorpio season. And I just wanted to give that brief introduction. Val can tell more about herself, and you can find her at connectwithval.com. Go ahead and if you want to fill in any blanks that I failed to tell people.
Oh no, I thought that was great, and I'm really honored to be here. And I guess the main thing is that I've been into astrology since I was 15, and it's in Jan's book has made a huge impact. Astrology for the Soul over many years of my life. I actually use that a lot with my clients, and I use Stephanie's services for my clients because I just think that when we have that understanding, it really supports us in knowing ourselves more to be able to navigate through life with greater ease. And I'm honored and I'm grateful. So thanks for this, Stephanie.
You're welcome. This is going to be a lot of fun because I'm actually excited to learn about what you have to share. And I always like to tell people a heads up on the astrological climate that we're coming into. And so this is Scorpio season, and Scorpio season runs from October 23rd to November 20th. And Scorpio really is a psychological sign. It has to do with psychological things as well as what's been hidden, which is often psychology, anything secretive. When I think of Scorpio, I think of taboo and what nobody wants to talk about. And that is usually exactly what needs to be talked about. It's the sign of sex as well as the sign of death and rebirth. And when Val and I were exploring this theme before the show, we realized, ooh, this sounds a lot like shadow work.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny. It's like, I love Scorpio. I love all the aspects of Scorpio, which makes sense as to what I do and I offer for my vocation. But like, I love it because I want to go deep. I want to go into that place inside of ourselves that we're so terrified to look at, because that's where the magic is. And when we really do give ourselves that permission to reveal it, our lives can completely open up in such beautiful ways. But it's the unknown, it's the unknown. It's where people don't want to go.
And that's very Scorpio, kind of this mystery. And I often find what we imagine in our mind can sometimes be much worse than what really is. And so just going ahead and facing these things. And I was curious if you had an example of something that you would want to share that you've confronted that would be in the shadow work category.
Oh God, lots. Lots through my own my clients, of course, and then just within my own life. And I'm an open book, so I'll share whatever, again, because I love going to the deep aspects, because that's real, that's authentic for me. And when I think about, kind of like that we don't want to talk about it, but it's really something that a lot of people can relate to. I think about that a lot with shadow work. It's kind of like the elephant in the room, but we all know it's there, but at the same time, we're not really willing to talk about it. And, many people, but women especially, but men do too, especially in the society of the United States, struggle a lot with eating disorders. And I, during my early 20s, went through a significant period of working, with a massive eating disorder, attempted to commit suicide. And it was really devastating. And it was probably one of the hardest things I'd ever gone through in my life. And I at that time I was hiding myself from the world. I was not willing to look at anything. And fast forward many years later, over time, and it was over time, I found my own healing in it, where I was going to sororities and speaking about eating disorders. And I really wanted to kind of pay it forward, because I was ready at that point to recognize this thing that was one of the hardest things I'd ever gone through was actually the greatest gift. But like anything, and when I think of shadow work, that deeper stuff is sometimes layers. We might heal, if you will, one aspect of it, and then we go through life and we're kind of riding that in that flow of it, and then something might happen that triggers up a deeper part of it. And when I think about us getting triggered in those times of our lives, into those, to look a little deeper into us, I truly believe we're never given anything more than we can handle. And I believe that that's coming up. The light is it's shining on that in that moment, because we're ready to deal with it. And so over the years, I have a very different relationship with my body, very different relationship with food. I love myself. I love my body. This was not my mantra growing up at all for a long time. I had self-loathing and everything. But recently, over the past 4 years, you can call it Uranus opposition in astrology, but midlife crisis is really the thing. I've been dismantling certain areas and ways of my life, because I just was really sitting with, like, okay, that was the first act of my life. And if I'm really going to create the second act of my life, I want to do it deliberately. I don't want to just do it by default, by conditioned behaviors of thinking that I never really questioned. I want to go, okay, what do I want to take into this new life that I'm creating? And what don't I want to? Whether that's an internal way of being, people around me, certain ways of living, And so this last year, I've been slowly doing that, and I think I told you this analogy, like I was imagining the past 4 years, I've been kind of breaking down walls in a house and breaking down the floor over here. And then this summer, it was like a full dismantling where I completely demolished the house, and now I'm down to the rubble. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, right, when I live in Mexico for 9 months a year, and when I came down here after I closed many chapters back in my hometown, it was all of this old stuff started to come up around my body. Like out of nowhere, I just started to gain a lot of weight, and I started to I didn't know what was happening. And I started to spin back to those old, deep, deep thoughts and deep ways of being that I existed and lived. And I was almost witnessing the old self in front of me. And I was really struggling having a new relationship with her. And the tendency and the deeper part of me, it wanted to make her wrong. It wanted to, judge her and shame her and everything. And what I got to do is I got to instead, again, I wanted to go into that darkness, because I knew if I went into that darkness, instead of keep running from it and band-aiding it and pretending it's not there, and there's, in this instance, over exercising, under eating, all those things. I wasn't willing to do that, because at this point I've cultivated enough self-love that I'm like, no more. I'm not willing to do that anymore. And so the invitation was to go deeper into me and be in the discomfort, where then I started to love myself in that darkness, love myself in that pain, and just love myself in the sadness and in the shame and in the judgment. And the more I met myself with that, it was beautiful, because it was all of a sudden the perfect people were coming in my life to have these extraordinary conversations that were helping me have breakthroughs, and opportunities were coming up that were just able for me to just soften into me. And before I know it, I just am riding this wave, but with more grace and more kindness. And I feel like that, and I don't even, and it's funny, because where I sit, Stephanie, is I'm not even, like the old me, I think would have been really worried of, I don't want to go there again. But what's really interesting is, because I believe when we go deep into that place that we're so terrified of going, and we learn to love it, and we, instead of, disowning these fragmented parts of ourselves, going, okay, I only love me when I'm bubbly and when I'm sweet and when I'm nice and I'm in a good mood and I feel pretty, but I'm not going to love me and I'm going to be really mean to me when I'm a little cranky and off and wonky and maybe I feel a little ugly and I didn't get a lot of sleep, and that's what I feel like we do. But we're basically, it's conditional love toward ourselves. And I think when we walk through life unconsciously from that place, it's easy to then just keep looking for either external, these things to either fill us or we're blaming the external world because we don't want to look at this thing inside. But instead, when we do, I think there's such a capacity to find such a remarkable sense of peace and love that then that is the light we shine outside.
Yeah, this is all I mean, that is an incredible story. I really appreciate that you just are open and share that, because so many people I know can relate to this issue. And I feel like this is right up the alley of Scorpio. I think that eating disorders get swept under the rug. Nobody wants to talk about it. And they're just like, oh, look, this actress looks fabulous after she had her baby. And they don't like consider maybe that person went through an unhealthy diet to do so or something. It's all focused on the appearance on the outside. However, Scorpio won't put up with any superficial BS. And so that is kind of the bottom line of what it sounds like you're doing is, let's get to what's real, what's really going on, because you can't fake self-love, and we all need that in our lives to succeed. So I just admire that you have walked the walk. You're not just talking the talk. And this is, I'm sure, a lot of what you bring to your work. And I was really curious how, like in your work as a guide, you support someone to want to do the work, because I'm sure it feels really scary at first.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I really do my best to meet people where they are. You know, it's, first of all, I'm really clear. I don't want to push, pull, and drag anyone. Not everyone is ready to go there, and that's totally fine. For me, it's the willingness. It's the willingness. And even though the fear is there, and even though the worry thinking is there, and the unknown, like, it's still that if there is this, I know there's got to be something different. And then that moment, then I know that they're ready, they're open enough. And then just through supporting them, like I love to tell story and metaphor, because I think sometimes we're so enmeshed in our own stuff that it's really, really hard to see the forest between the trees, if you will. And so sometimes what I often invite them to do is to listen to a story, but from a bird's eye view, almost like they're listening to through my story, they're seeing themselves. And in that moment, then their aperture can get wider, right? And they can start to see different possibilities and maybe open to a new point of view. And so with that, like one of the things, it's in this instance, it's pointing to the value, right? I want to support them in seeing the value. So the way that I think about it is like this, is, you know, with these parts of ourselves that we don't want to look at, you know, let's say that I'm going to give you a scenario. I'm going to play it two different ways, same scenario though. Okay. Right. One is, there's a kid that there's a mother and a child, and the kid wants a cookie before dinner. And the mom goes, no, honey, you can't have the cookie until after dinner. And the kid's like, no, I want the cookie. I want it. And the mom, this is how most of us react or respond when people in front of us are in pain. Right? No, don't cry. Or look over there, look, distracting, right? Or it's stop crying, just get over it. And ultimately what that child learns, right? Because we don't develop our analytical brain until we're about 9 years old. So we're operating completely on our limbic brain, which is our feeling brain. So we're essentially creating meaning out of life through our feelings, through what we're feeling. Okay. So in that moment, that child starts to add meaning that, oh my gosh, when I feel this, that it's not okay. I'm not loved. I'm told to be quiet. It's just like, so we start to learn coping mechanisms, right? And then the mother in that moment is basically like this child in pain and doing anything to not feel it or not wanting to deal with it, right? That's how most of us are dealing with lower frequency emotions, right? But instead, same scenario, right? But different way of showing up. So here's the kid crying like, I want the cookie. And the mom looks at her and she goes, you know what, honey, you're angry. You know what, you be angry. I'm going to go over here and make dinner. I love you. And in that moment, what The mom does. The mom doesn't coddle. The mom doesn't distract. The mom doesn't make her wrong. The mom simply goes, you know what? Feel all of your feelings, because it's 90 seconds that feelings actually go through our bodies. 90 seconds. Okay. The only reason why they last longer is because I call it the thought feeling loop. We keep thinking the same thought that's equivalent to that same feeling. We keep creating a bigger thing, and that's drama. And our world loves drama, you know?
Yeah.
But like really, but really it's like in that moment, if we let that child or that person or our friend or our lover, if we just give them the space to feel their feelings without trying to do anything. And the mom went and did her own thing. She took care of herself. She didn't stop her world. She didn't stop her life. That child, that person learns to start self-regulating and know that they're safe in that. And so when you ask that question, I just go, okay, because I would imagine that everyone hearing that can somehow relate, right? So there's a relatability. There's like, wow, okay, I can see where I do that, or I can see where I've done that, or I can see where I've experienced that. But it's the invitation to recognize that everything is energy. And so in that moment, that uncomfortable feeling, that yes, it's very uncomfortable, but if you really look at all of your life, it will pass. It always does. And energy does not disappear. It only changes form. So the more that we allow ourselves to be in that discomfort, and we start to see that we are okay, and it wasn't something that made us okay, we did it. That's called self-empowerment. And so what I like, for me, what I felt when I was struggling for as long as I did, you know, with an eating disorder, I felt like I had literal shackles on me every day. Mm-hmm. It was in my head. I had them on myself. And so this kind of work, or this invitation to go inside in order to love those parts of ourselves, right? It's, to me, it's freedom. It's empowerment. And those, like, freedom is my highest value. You know, it's like, I want to move through life feeling free. And so freeing ourselves, instead of feeling like that we are now, we're always a victim, or we're always angry, or we're always, and we just get pulled by these things. Like I said before, it just creates a life we love more, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're demonstrating what makes this work worthwhile. It's like, it's not just a lot of hard work for nothing. The rewards far outweigh it. And this is what I think of when people are working with Scorpio, or for example, Pluto, which is a planet that rules Scorpio. Like, okay, get ready to do some hard work, but it can make permanent change, and you're going to get to the root of the problem. And that's kind of the main way to do it. I'm a huge believer in that. And the astrology, I love when it's supporting that, because I feel that those windows of time, you can get more oomph for your work. Yeah. So knowing that we're in the Scorpio season, we have a lunar eclipse coming up, I'm thinking, wow, this is a powerful time, because the lunar eclipse will be at 27 Taurus, which is opposite the sun in Scorpio. And so when you were describing a healthy, intimate relationship between a mother and a child, where, you know, when Scorpio is flourishing as an astrology energy, it is healthy intimacy. And that's the mom who says, you're angry and I love you, you know, and I'm not going to get obsessed and enmeshed in how you're feeling and think I can fix you. And, you know, that is kind of pointing to the self-sufficiency. When you think of Taurus at this lunar eclipse, people might have some big aha moments around that. And it seems like it would be a great time if they were having these awakenings, like, okay, it's going to be easier in the long run to just confront this issue.
I mean, I got to tell you, like, actually, I currently have a client right now that's literally at that tipping point. And it's literally that tipping point of like, my world is falling apart, and I'm terrified, to the point that like she wants to run in an entirely different direction. I mean, entirely different, and basically Band-Aid. Okay. And I'm just like, and so it's that moment of just keep going, like keep going. You're right there. But you don't know. And the thing is that it's like, but what if my life blows up? We're only aware of what we're going to lose. We'll never know what we're going to gain, you know?
That's a great way to put it.
right? And so it's like, but it's in the unknown. And the thing is, again, if we've been creating our lives usually by our conditioning without even questioning, that means in that moment of the unknown, it's okay, well then who do you want to be? What do you want to create? You know, because now you get to drive, but now consciously drive.
Yeah, yeah, and I really like that you're putting the power back to the person, because I can tell in our separate practices, we're all about that, not people coming to us for us to tell them what to do. It's like, no, actually, you are the one who gets to be in the driver's seat. And so it's really fun for me to kind of blend the astrology with your ideas, and hopefully be able to give that window to your clients, and then they get what they need as far as how to shift their perspective when they talk to you, which is really cool. And so this eclipse energy is great for realizations, and maybe people will consider doing a full moon ritual, because it's a great time, I think, for letting go of some things, even if you don't accomplish everything on that day of the eclipse, just saying, I release the need to be in this situation or try to control everything. Maybe I need some help on this. That's totally okay to admit that.
This control is a Scorpio tendency, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like in the moment of when that stuff's coming up deeper, it's like that's when we want to control even more, and we want more certainty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And seeing that there's a lot of power in admitting what you don't know, and maybe, what someone else could help you with, and all of that. So I do think this is a powerful season. You can make the most of it. I like to try to think of, okay, how to make the most of this time, because these energies are here and then they start to shift, and all of them can really be used usefully. And that's what's going to be fun in this series, because next, we'll get to Sagittarius, and there's going to be a lot of things to explore there. And so I just kind of want to remind people, check out connectwithval.com, because she has got a lot of cool, you do different like packages for people, right?
Yeah, I work again, like I meet people where they are, and I'm an all-in coach. I'm an all-in guide. I don't like to, but like I'm all in the sense of like, once it's like we're a team, right? Because the rest of the world, as we're doing this work, is going to affirm the old. And I'm all about, making sure that we're instilling, and we're making sure we're as we're unwiring, we're rewiring new, right? The universe abhors a vacuum. We don't want to just keep filling with old stuff. So being consciously as we are creating the new. And so, but I'm deeply committed, and I end up becoming really great friends with all my clients. I'm like, and that's one of the things, like the Scorpio, like no rules to me, it's like the whole, like, don't work with people that, you're friends with. And I'm like, actually, I blow that up, because I only, why would I want to work with people I really like, So yeah. So, and there's, it's just, again, we have a conversation, a discovery session. If people want to work with me, it's about a 30-minute session, and we just see if there's a match in our energies. And that's kind of how it works.
That sounds great. Yeah. That's awesome. And you'll be able to catch these shows every month. We'll be getting them out, and maybe people will have some topics that they will request. So after we post this video, maybe you can post some things that you hope we talk about in the future.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you, because it gives us greater awareness of what you guys are craving out there, as far as just desiring greater insight to navigate your life with greater ease, So absolutely. I'm really excited about this series. I mean, like I said, I love astrology. And so I love hearing your wisdom through this, and how you can really marry these together so beautifully.
Oh, thank you. Oh, yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I feel that, your services are just helping people take the astrological information and do something with it, because I'm kind of more the facts and figures, here's the timing, here's the energies, here's what's happening, but then they have to go do something with that. And you're a great person to help them do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think we might have covered everything. Can you think of any other final words we should leave people with?
I just want to say that you are worth it. Like, keep going no matter what. Just keep going, because you are worth it. And even if it feels really scary and you cannot see the next step in front of you, just keep stepping.
Oh, that felt good. I think so many people need to hear that right now. So thank you for saying that. I definitely agree. And we will look forward to next episode. We hope to hear your ideas. Thank you so much, Val.
Thank you so much, Stephanie.
All right.